Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long time, but I decided to do this little quick video to get back into the groove of things. And for today, we have the 8 subscribers special. I know some big ass numbers we got going here, but mainly I'm just going to be ranking the fruits. As you can see, this is a fruit tier list with all the fruits. Well, not all the fruits, but like probably almost all of the fruits that are out there, and I've had a good majority of these, so I will be able to have an opinion. Maybe it won't be everyone's opinion, but I don't know. I like ranking things, so I thought this would be a cool idea for little milestones in the 8 channel. So yeah, first off, let me change these real quick. So this is, if anyone doesn't know what a tier list is, you basically just rank things top to bottom. The best things being at the top and the worst being at the bottom. But for the categories, I think I should come up with maybe something more related to fruits. So we'll do trash, don't eat, and then we got, okay, so this is like, so basically if you go from bottom to the top, you got the bottom tier, and then we got I guess this would be bottom, low. C would be low, B would be mid, A would be high, and then S would be top. But let me just change it up real quick. So this is low, close to the bottom. Go like probably not worth it. Yeah. Then for the mid, let's see, decent. Choice, and then we got this is like some of the better stuff. Let's see, I'll say always heat, and then we got, oh yeah, go heat, and then into straight fire, and then I think I'll just keep the I've never had this. So right away, let me just put the things that I've never had into this column or this row right here. Now, I've had this juice with the blackcurrant, but I've never actually had the fruit itself, so I'll just put it down here. Let's see, coconut. I feel like coconut, I've had like, coconut water, but I don't know about the actual fruit. I think I maybe had it once, so we'll keep it in. Same thing with dragon fruit, I had it once. I don't really remember what it tastes like. I think I'll still keep it in though, because I have a vague memory of that, and I can do it based off that. And gooseberry, definitely not. I feel like I've never seen gooseberries for sale anywhere. It's kind of crazy. Let's see. These are all good. These are all good. Passion fruit. Another one where I've had the juice, but I'm not really sure if I've had the fruit. I want to say I haven't, so I'll put it down here. Okay, and then these are some common ones. Pomelo. I have no idea what a pomelo. Like, I've heard of it. Kind of looks like a pear, low key, but I don't really know what that shit is. And then we got red currant. So if I haven't had black currant, I've definitely not had red currant. But these are like European, I want to say, European fruits, black currant, red currant, because like my parents, they always talk about it, but I've never seen them anywhere here. So yeah, and then star fruit. I don't even know. It just looks like a meme to me, but I guess that's a fruit. And then we got Asian pear. Now this one, I don't know for sure, so I'm pretty sure I've only had pears, so I'll just go with that. As you can see, this is actually a lot more than I thought I haven't had from this list, at least. And then we'll keep going. Guava. I feel like, once again, this is like one of those common juices. Guava juice is so sweet. That shit is loaded with sugar. At least the ones I've had. But the fruit itself, I don't think I've tried per se. Blood orange is another maybe, but I don't think so. Like this list has some weird ones, or some uncommon ones for sure. Same thing, custard apple, I have no idea. It looks crazy. Ground cherry, I have no idea what this is. Looks like a cherry. Man, this list is going faster than I thought it would. Just putting everything into the, I've never had this. I'll just rename this too. I'll be like, nope. Okay, and then kumquat, I've had that. I haven't. This looks like a blackberry, but I don't. It's obviously not a blackberry. It's something different. And then jackfruit. Actually, funny story. In college, when I would eat at the dining halls, they would have this like meat. I don't know what meat was, like chicken or beef or something, and they would have like jackfruit with it. And I remember that was the worst dish ever. It tasted like shit, but I don't know if the fruit itself is terrible or maybe it was just the combination of things. But that's just the image I have of jackfruits for sure. All right, let's keep looking through this. I don't know, a mangosteen. It's like a teenager mango, you know? I have no idea what that is. Rambutan. I don't know. That looks like lychee, but it's not. Once again, it's its own thing. But if you look at lychee and look at rambutan, like those are very similar looking in terms of color and exterior. But yeah, I haven't had that. I've had this, and then white currant. You know, the third currant that I've definitely not had as a fruit or anything really. I've never really seen white currant, even in juice or something. Alright, so that looks like that's everything. So let me count real quick. That was like 20 almost. I want to say maybe like 16. But now we can start ranking things. So one thing to keep in mind that for this list, I'm mostly just going to be looking at taste because it's really a different list if you just look at the fruit itself and judge it based off the image and how nice you think it looks. Obviously, it's more interesting to judge the taste, so we will judge the taste. So let's get into it. Starting with green apple. Now, I've always really liked green apples for a long time, but recently I feel like they've been a little bit too sour, but I would still say they're pretty good. Now let me think, where should I put this? So I wouldn't say it's straight fire, because it is really sour. And like some of them are not too sour and it works really well, but some of them aren't, right? But I would still say another thing actually to keep in mind is some fruits, you know, they can leave your hands messy, and I think that will be kind of a factor for me because it's kind of annoying. We'll see if more of the later fruits, how like it can just like destroy your hands and makes the eating experience, I guess, less pleasurable. So I think that should factor too. But green apple, hard to say, but I would say it's heat. For me personally, I just like green apples a lot, and I don't know, it's kind of a niche pick, but their sourness makes it really different from most fruits because you have you know, your lemons and stuff, but even lemons, like you're not gonna just eat lemons, so there's no real sour alternative except for green apples, which is where I think their uniqueness and, in my opinion, their taste makes it good enough. Now for red apples, so red apples have a lot of different, you know, varieties. You have your Gravenstein, you have these dark red apples. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Like there's these dark red apples and it tastes like literally bleach. Like they taste terrible. So I have to consider all of that. And I think the dark red ones really drop the value of red apples in general. But like you have Gravenstein and those are just fire. Like Gravenstein apples, if you've ever had them, are so good. Like full of moisture, full of really good flavor. The texture is really solid too. It's just like a good, easy fruit to eat. So I would say if I'm gonna rank red apples, I would say like with those two, those are like the outliers, I would say, in terms of the range of red apples. So I would say that goes into a decent choice. Yeah. So a little bit below green apples just because of, you know, the inconsistencies, and some of them are really bad. I don't know why people don't shit on red apples that much, but I think they're kind of trash. At least if it's not a Gravenstein or something similar to that. And apricots, alright. Yo, apricots goes right into fire. I don't even know. I don't know how people don't talk about these enough. So good. Now what I'm talking about here is a ripe apricot, because if you ever had a hard apricot, and some people like those, but for me personally, I really don't like the hard kind of, it's almost tasteless, I would say. Like when they're not ripe, they're just not really, you know, they're not really worth it. But obviously here I'm gonna do prime prime condition and prime fruits. So we have apricots, and they're just really soft, really sweet, right? And I don't know, they're just, I don't know how to describe it. With fruits, a big thing is it can't be too sweet, because if it's too sweet, then it's overpowering. If it's not sweet enough, then it's, well, not sweet enough. Apricots, I think, is a really good middle for that, and it's really good fruit in general. It's really satisfying just to eat them. I don't know how to describe that, but like the feel in your mouth is just really good. It's almost like you're eating Jello or something. At least with ripe apricots, like it has to be ripe. But all right, let's continue. We got avocados. Now, personally, I don't consider avocados a fruit, but because this list has them, and obviously I know what avocados taste like, being from California, oops, I think I'll just rank them, right? Now, personally, I don't really like avocados that much, at least, but the thing is, I don't really like guacamole, but I guess avocados themselves aren't too bad. They're pretty good. I would say they goes probably even above green apples. It's weird because I don't really rank these these two things as the same kind of, category. But if I had to consider where avocados would be, I would say they're heat. I wouldn't say they're fire, Even like really ripe avocados, they're just there. They have like a solid watery kind of taste and a pretty nice texture that makes it easy to eat. But it's nothing crazy, I would say. I wouldn't say it's like top of the line. I think for avocados, it's just kind of like a unique thing to eat, so that's why people hype them up so much. But I would still put it in heat. It's still really solid, definitely. All right, let's continue. We got bananas. Bananas are the classic. Where would I put bananas? I would say bananas. Let me think about this. I mean, they were really easy. Like, if you think about just easiest fruit to eat, I would say bananas are definitely there, because you just pick them up, unpeel them, and then eat them. Now, they do have a big range where they can be kind of spoiled or kind of old and then get mushy, and lots of people are pretty disgusted by that. It's not that big of a deal, in my opinion, at least. But I definitely think they're a really solid fruit. I'll put them probably up here. I wouldn't say they're like fire or anything, but they're definitely something solid and always just really sweet, really like fulfilling, right? Bananas are one of those fruits you just pick up if you haven't eaten anything, and they're a really solid, just quick food, just quick snack, it's quick, pick me up real quick. Spinning bars out here. All right, and then let's go next. We got blackberries. Another thing with blackberries is blackberries are really inconsistent, and a lot of the time they're not that, not that ripe, not that sweet. They're interesting though when you get like a perfect blackberry. It's like a kind of sweet sour mix. This is one of the few fruits that have that sour quality to them. And I do think that they're pretty good, but I would say because of their inconsistency, alongside red apples, they're gonna go down in decent choice. Now I'll put them above red apples because they are, on average, better, I would say. Because for red apples, you have the peaks and the bottoms, at least for me. But blackberries are usually decent, kind of watery if they're not ripe, but when they are ripe, they kind of hit different. Super sour, super explosive, I would say, just like a burst of flavor, which is really nice. But as I said before, it's not always there, so I'll put it down there in decent choice. And we got, not blackcurrant. We got blueberries. Now blueberries I think are super underrated. Maybe they're not. I feel like people don't really talk about blueberries. I think blueberries will go up here. They're really, really consistent. With fruits, it's really hard for any given fruit to be always good, but I think blueberries are usually very good. They're kind of light too, so it doesn't feel like you're eating a lot, which is nice, especially after a meal. I don't know about you guys, but usually I eat fruits after meals, so it's nice to have a kind of quick option that isn't too much. Right, with bananas, I think that's where bananas kind of falter, because they're not really something you can have after meals, because it's basically a meal in itself. The blueberries are really nice, basically like drinking water, but it's a fruit, antioxidants and stuff like that. And the taste is usually pretty solid, at least in my opinion. I think they're definitely one of the best fruits out there, for sure. All right, cantaloupe. Let me see. Okay, this might be a hot take. I don't even know, but I think cantaloupes are a lot worse than honeydew. In terms of a fruit, honestly, I'm debating if it's trash or probably not worth it. I'll be nice. I don't know if we're gonna even get a trash fruit, because fruits in general are pretty decent, right? There's some other categories where there's definitely some trash. But these are probably not worth it, I would say. Just because what I was mentioning before, fruits and how they can be overly sweet, cantaloupes are one of the best definitions for that quality. They just don't really taste like much. They just taste like kind of a sweet, not even watery, just like a sweet, citrusy taste, but not really interesting in any way. Honeydew is a lot better, in my opinion, a lot more subtle, and cantaloupe is just there. Their flavor isn't really that great. I don't know. It just doesn't really taste like much. Kind of tastes like chalk. I'd imagine that's what chalk would taste like. It's cantaloupe. It's still not too bad. Like, you can eat it. It's edible. But once again, it's probably not worth it to eat this. I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, if you don't have anything else, go for it, I guess. All right, coconuts. Have I eaten coconuts? I feel like I'm tricking myself into thinking I've eaten coconuts before. Because I've definitely drank coconuts. I guess that's a factor. But I would say for a fruit list like this, it should just be based off the taste of the fruit itself, not like the water or the juice. That's a whole different story. Have I had coconuts? I don't really know. I feel like I haven't, low key. So I'll just put this in. No, I don't think I've had these actually. All right, let's go to cherries. Cherries are heat. Are they that? I don't know if they're at the top, right? Let me think about it. I don't think they're at the top, but I think they're. Where do I put these? I'd say like here, at the top of the high tier, or not. There we go. Okay. So cherries are just a really consistent pick. Once again, what really makes a fruit good, in my opinion, is they're always consistently good. And cherries are really nice. Another burst of flavor option that blackberries have, but cherries are just more. Well, they're just better. I don't know. Their flavor is more refined. It's really sweet, but it's very easy to, binge eat cherries. Cherries are just one of those fruits you keep eating, like blueberries, but they kind of provide a sweeter, more overpowering taste. And another thing, I guess, what prevents it from being at the top. If anyone has ever eaten a lot of cherries, you gotta take a shit right away. That goes right to your stomach. You eat like 10 plus cherries, it's game over. You are not gonna be out of the toilet for like 20 minutes, I swear. But still, overall, it's worth it. The flavor is really good. You can have dark cherries, lighter cherries, so like bright red cherries, dark red cherries. Which darker cherries, in my opinion, are better just because their flavor is more. I guess it's not as overly sweet. It's more balanced, I would say. But in my opinion, that's better. Lighter cherries are good too, but they are a little bit too sweet for my taste. So we'll just leave it at that. That's where cherries will be. And then let's go to cranberries. Cranberries. Trash. Shit's basura. I don't know. Cranberries are nothing really great is in a cranberry. It's just sour. Doesn't have a lot of taste to it. The only reason I would ever eat a cranberry, I think, if I had a choice, was for Thanksgiving, have cranberries. But that's pretty much it. With turkey, it works well. But cranberries by themselves, if you've ever eaten a raw cranberry, it is not a good look. It's just a sour wannabe cherry that doesn't really achieve much. At least from what I remember. Maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but from my expertise, my professional opinion, cranberries are just not really anything worth eating. And they're just really a solid piece of, nothing. Alright, we got dates. Oh, I don't even like dates that much. Dates are kind of trash, low-key, but I think they're better than cranberries. I don't think they're better than cantaloupe. Dates are pretty bad. It's a really weird texture. I'm sure some people like it, but it's kind of a weird wrinkly texture, as you can see by the image given right there. It just doesn't really provide anything special. It's like a, how do I describe it? A date. It's almost like chocolate, but a fruit. So once again, it's very overly sweet. And that is just something that we do not approve of here. And I don't know, it's definitely worse than cantaloupe just for basically the reason of the texture, and it's even worse. It's even more sweet than cantaloupes. It almost feels like you're not even eating a fruit. I guess that's because it's dried. It kind of amplifies the taste of it. But in my opinion, it's not that great, and kind of ruins anything you would pair it with. So you can't, like, you know, put a date with something else to make it better. Alright, let's continue with dragon fruits. Now this is, I don't really remember dragon fruits, right? But I will say, where would I put these? From what I remember, it was just kind of like a lightly sweet fruit with those seeds, you know, kind of like sesame seeds inside the fruit itself, which is cool. It's a cool thing to have, but I would say it goes near the middle. I think I had this in like Canada or something. It was like at a random store. We just got dragon fruit and we just tried it. Kind of a bitch to prepare, definitely. If you've ever had to prepare it, it's very, very time consuming. But I would say it goes here in the middle of the tier list. Yeah, I would say that. I don't really have a lot to say about dragon fruit because I only had it that one time, but I'll put it there for now. All right, we got figs. All right, before I thought figs were really bad. They're very sweet, but as I kept eating them and, you know, trying them, I would say I kind of got more used to it. I wouldn't say they're anything super great though. I would put them right after red apples, you know, kind of in the middle of the tiers, just because of I don't really know. It's kind of hard to describe figs. They're a very middle ground fruit, you know, not overly sweet, not overly sour. I mean, they're not really sour at all, but fruits are mostly sweet, so they're kind of in the middle of that sweet level. Their texture is a little bit off-putting, I would say, which probably prevents them from getting a little bit higher up on this list. But overall, I think they are pretty decent and kind of, how do you say, like water sufficient. You know, it feels like you're getting a lot of water from figs. Maybe you're not, but that's just the feeling I get, which is nice also. It makes them more smooth to eat and just a better choice overall. Oh, grapefruit. Oh my god, yo. People sleep on grapefruit. I swear. Grapefruits are so good. Alright, where gonna put this? Let's see. Honestly, alright, hold on. Let me not go crazy. Hold on. I would say like probably like here actually. The thing about grapefruits is, I think actually no, they're above cherries. I don't know what I was talking about. Actually, are they gonna be in straight fire? Yeah, I would put them in straight fire. Alright, above blueberries. So with grapefruit, let me explain. People were like, oh, it's too sour. Oh my god. Those people need to grow up. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's such a refreshing fruit to have. It's a really great palate cleanser if you've ever had it after a long meal or just in general. Maybe at night. You just put it in a bowl, scoop it up with a spoon, you know? It's really good. It's really refreshing. It's kind of like a soury, watery fruit, but that makes it really interesting, and it makes it really nice to just eat a bowl of, and you don't get sick of it. And if it's really that sour, like I know there are very sour grapefruits, and there are sweeter ones as well that it balances out. But the really sour ones, you can put sugar on, you know, you can add to it, make it less sour, and it will be still pretty good, right? So it has that capability. If you need to change something about it, you can change it, and that's, you know, makes it a pretty solid fruit, pretty well versed. And yeah, I think that will be where I put grapefruits. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they're better than apricots by any means. Apricots are just very, very strong as a fruit in the taste. It's very rich and flavorful. Where I think grapefruits are not even close to that, but they kind of are on the other side of the spectrum. They're more light, easy to eat, watery, but still really good, obviously in their own way. Okay, let me take off my jacket real quick. Heating up this conversation, you know how it goes. All right, we got red grapes. I don't know whether is that what they're called. I guess yeah, they're red. I mean they're purple, and white grapes are green, but I guess they're called red grapes for some reason. Now, out of the two, I definitely think red grapes are worse, but I still think they're a solid choice, right? I'm not gonna hate on grapes or red grapes specifically. I think I would put them, yeah, not in heat, but at the top of decent choice. This list is ranked. If you didn't know by now, it is ranked, and we are having red grapes in the first position of decent choice. Just because grapes in general are very easy to eat. Once again, you just pick them off the vine, right, and just eat them. Maybe even easier to eat than bananas, but you do have the vine, you have to throw it away, right? You can throw away the peel too. I guess it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, they're not really higher just because they're good, they're sweet, but they don't really provide anything crazy to compared to other fruits. They're pretty basic in terms of what their flavor is and what they provide. So yeah, I mean, I don't have that much to say about red grapes. They're kind of a middle ground, once again, fruit. All right, well, let's move on to the more interesting one, white grapes. These are so good. Woo! White grapes are amazing. I mean, I will always defend these grapes. Always, if I have a choice, these definitely come up before the red grapes. But in terms of a ranking, no, I think they're going up and up. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay, I'll put them here. Now the thing about white grapes is I think their flavor is a lot more interesting. It's a lot more, how would I say this? It's less sweet. It's more refined, right? As we have the grapefruits next to it, and blueberries, I guess, to some extent. White grapes just have that watery, but still sweet, which is really nice about it. It's not like grapefruits where it's watery but not that sweet. White grapes are watery and pretty sweet, so that kind of gets in the way, makes it not one of the best fruits, right? But still up there, top 3 for now. And it's just a really flavorful fruit, honestly. It just has like a very diverse range to it, and I think it should go up there. We'll see if it drops in the future, but for now, I think white grapes are very solid and very nice, like a watery kind of fruit. Oh, kiwis. All right. I have a lot to say about kiwis actually. So kiwis, I think, aren't that consistent of a fruit in general, right? I don't know. It just, a lot of the time I have kiwis, they're not really ripe and they're very sour. If you ever had kiwis, a lot of the time it's just gonna be very sour and not that great in general. But if you ever have like a soft kiwi, oh my god, it's beautiful, so beautiful. A soft kiwi is like here, right? It's around here, or here, right? One of these two. But because a lot of time it's sour and it's not that great, okay, I'm not gonna put it all the way up there. We'll still put it in a decent spot. I think here is good. It's just that kiwis, I wish they were all so super ripe and that soft, kind of soury with the seeds in them. The seeds are sick. And like the middle part, you see that white middle part? Actually, it's too, oh my god. A lot of the parts are really interesting about it. It's definitely more unique than most other fruits. You know, it's tropical and everything. Not as common. But yeah, I think the fact that a lot of the time it's not super ripe brings it down a little bit, but it still is pretty heat, as you can see. Alright, let's moving on. Go to lemons. Now lemons and limes, they aren't very typical, at least in terms of eating them, you know, just to eat them. I know people do. I've done it before. I've eaten lemons before. Usually, actually, I don't know how many times I've eaten lemons. Not that many times, to be honest. So it's not gonna go super high. I'm not gonna be crazy with this. Probably at the top of this. Probably not worth it. Just I'm talking about like just lemons. You can have like the lemon juice, squeeze out of it, put some sugar with that. It's a fire combination. But in terms of the actual fruit itself, it's very sour. As anyone who's eaten a lemon can attest to, it's just a very sour fruit. It almost burns your tongue in terms of how sour it is. It can upset your stomach with the acidity, right? So it's not really a great choice. It doesn't really provide anything. I know it has a lot of vitamins, but we're not really going based on nutrients here. At least not much. It's not a lot of it is gonna be based on nutrients. Because lemons, I know I'm pretty sure they're one of the best fruits for you. But in terms of their taste overall, it's just very sour and not really worth it in general. We got limes. Now, between lemon, obviously these are going to be right next to each other. I don't know why anyone would prefer the actual fruit itself, a lot more over the other. But in terms of what's better, let me see. I would say lemons are better. I think limes are just more subdued, but they're subdued to the point where it's not worth it to eat it over a lemon. They're still decent, right? You can make guac with them. Once again, as with lemons, you can make guac with them, and you can do stuff with them, right? They're a very good cooking ingredient, but in terms of their actual flavor by themselves, they're not really that great. And it's just a lemon, but kind of less sour. But that less sour factor is actually important. It makes it not as good as the lemon. It's just not as great. I don't know. They're both pretty bad fruits, honestly. In general. Alright, here we go. Get to the interesting stuff. This might be my favorite. I mean, we'll see as the list goes on, because I didn't really prep for this to make it more interesting. Kind of like a blind list of some kind. But lychee is so great. I love the flavoring, right? I mean, we're not talking about flavor here, but in general, the flavor is really good in my opinion. Very, very smooth and very, very subtly sweet, which makes it great. It goes well with a lot of things. But I actually did try them. Where was that? I think I was in Hawaii, I want to say. So people were selling them out of a garage or something. We stopped and picked them up. So that was like the main place where I tried lychee. And I want to say that they are above apricots. They're just very unique. As you can see, they're small. It's kind of, okay, I will say that it's kind of annoying peeling them. Like that part is very, very annoying. But the reward inside is very, very, very worth it. It's like a very, nobody's tried lychee before, lychees are, watery as fruits go, but they're also like very smooth and sweet, and they provide a nice alternative to other fruits that are overly sweet or overly watery. They're kind of the perfect mix, in my opinion, right? The reason they're above apricots, I want to say, is just because they're not, I think it's not really fair to put them above apricots. I think I'm just being biased here. I'll try to be as objective as possible, not be too biased about the fruits, Obviously, this is a subjective list, but you gotta have some kind of ranking system in your head. Can't just be, oh, these are cool, I like these over that, right? Yeah, I don't think just because you have to peel them is annoying. It's actually a lot more annoying than you would think, because the skin is very flaky and you have to peel each part of it, kind of like a egg, when you peel an egg, like a hard-boiled egg. It's kind of that, but with a fruit. But overall, it is worth it. It's a really solid taste, and if you ever have the chance to try it, definitely try it. Lychee is very good. Alright, we'll move on to mangoes. Mango is a hitter. One of the strongest fruits you'll see out there. I don't think, let me see where I want to put this. Okay. I have a good argument for mango. The reason mango isn't higher than third, at least for now, is because mangoes, once again, what was the fruit? Like kiwis, yeah, like kiwis below them. Mangoes aren't always the best. You have your really ripe mangoes, which are delicious. You can put some like hot flakes or something, right? I don't know. I don't really eat mangoes like that, but I know you can. But when they're really ripe, the sweetness is off the charts, right? And it's not too much, right? It's very sweet to the point that it's almost like you're eating candy, basically. Mango is like the candy fruit, I would say, in terms of how sweet it is and how just delicious it is, right? But it's not always like that. Sometimes, actually a lot of the time, it's more watery and less flavorful. You kind of have to get lucky at getting a right mango, so that brings it down a little bit. But overall, it's a very strong taste, and it could be potentially number one. If they were more ripe, I would say, from what I've experienced, then they'd probably be number one. It's just a very good fruit, very solid. I don't think I've ever heard anyone hate on mangoes. I mean, there's a reason for that. They're really good. Alright, we'll go to nectarines. Yeah, I've had these. Alright, I don't know, I'm tripping. I think these are like the juicy peaches, I want to say. Yeah. Okay. It's gonna be interesting to rank these. Okay. Let's see. Nectarines. I would say. Yeah, probably like this. Okay, I'll put it up there in heat. Nectarines are really solid. They're basically like the juiciest fruit. Maybe not ever. Like lemons are pretty juicy, right? But in terms of when you eat them, it's very liquidy, right? You take a bite, it's gonna like squirt out, right? And that's a pretty cool factor to it. Makes it better than a lot of other fruits. They're very sweet, as fruits tend to be, but nectarines are pretty solid. They're not too sweet. I would say that their water content's really great. Makes it refreshing to eat them, you know. Not as common, I would say, but that doesn't really matter in terms of a ranking. So I would say they're just on the cusp of being fire, but not really right there. Okay, we'll go to oranges. I don't think oranges are that great, I'm gonna admit it. Which is interesting, but not really that interesting. I mean, okay, let's see where I would put these. Oranges? Probably here. I don't know why people rave about oranges. Oranges aren't that great, right? They're super sour. This is mainly what I was talking about when I'm saying it's really annoying to eat them, because it gets all over your hands, the juice and everything. I don't know how people don't complain about that more. And they're very sour to the point where it can upset your stomach, right? And also it can just, I don't know, it's not that great of a taste, especially when they're super sour. Like, they can be sweeter. I've had sweeter oranges, those are good. Their water content is really great, right? But they're not they're not consistent. A lot of the time they're very sour, at least from what I've had. So they're definitely above lemons and limes and all these other ones, because they are a decent choice. Maybe it's kind of rude to put them down here and probably not worth it. I would say it's like a decent choice, but it's the last decent choice I would take, right? Because of the sourness, the stickiness. It's so sticky. Like, it's unbelievably sticky. It makes me not want to eat oranges. That's how sticky it is. Even though, like, they're okay, right? They're not terrible. They're in the middle, but I don't know. They're just not that great. Overrated. Off. All right, we'll go to papayas. Oh my god, papayas. Papayas are really good. Yeah, this might be like up here too. These tropical fruits usually tend to be very great, very sweet. Their depth of flavor is better than other ones, I would say. I don't know why. Maybe just because I haven't eaten them as much, but that's how I feel, at least. I would put them, let's see. Do they go above apricots is the question. I don't think so. But yeah, I'll put them right next to apricots. Now, papayas are very similar to apricots. I've actually eaten them, apricots and papayas, at the same time, so I have a good comparison between them. They're more sweet and less, how do I say it? Like, less earthy. That's how I would describe it. They're just sweeter, almost more watery, right? Kind of like a watermelon, or what else is watery? Like, I don't know, like an apple, a red apple, Gravenstein apple. But papayas are just really solid. They're very smooth. Their texture is amazing. It's almost like you know how macaronis, you cook them, like they're supposed to be very smooth, not hard, right? It's like that. Papayas are very, very, very silky, and it makes eating them really enjoyable. Kind of like a good mango, right? But they're more consistent, I would say, than mangoes, at least from what I've experienced. They're very consistently sweet and flavorful, so I would say they're going up there. Number 2 for now. part of the straight fire group, you know. Okay, we got peaches. One of the more common ones, but I think peaches. Where should I put these? I think they're similar to nectar. Oops. They're similar to nectarines in that their flavor is very similar, but they're not as juicy. I would say. I would argue they're not as good as nectarines. Probably not even as. I would say they're good. They're better than bananas, right? Bananas are kind of like the gatekeeper, even though they're not. They're not really at the edge of anything, but I would say if you're better than a banana, you're like a very, very good fruit. Bananas are a very solid, consistent choice, right? But peaches, let me get back on track. Peaches are similar to nectarines, very sweet, not as watery, I would say. And they have that texture, if you've ever had those peaches, like the fuzz on the outside, which is interesting. I don't know if I super prefer that, but it's definitely something different than other fruits, right? But I would say they're just sweet, but nothing really much else. There's not that much to them. Texture can be kind of weird sometimes. They're a good choice. I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with peaches, and I think this is a good spot for them. All right, we got pears. Ooh. Shout out to all my pears. Rick Ross. Pears. I don't know. I don't think pears are that great, to be honest. Where should I put these? It's actually a good place where I'm holding it. I would say that goes. Let me slide it in real quick. Yeah, pears, they're okay, right? Kind of weird texture once again, as with peaches. They have that kind of hard, even with like ripe pears, they're still like hard for some reason. It's like they're soft on the inside but hard on the outside, right? That's how it feels when I eat them, at least. Not just with ripe pears, because they can be hard on the inside as well, right? They have a weird taste. It's kind of ambiguous, you know. It's kind of watery, kind of sweet, but nothing really solid, right? I think that's what makes it not as good as other fruits. It's not as definitive as these other fruits above it, but it's still decent enough that it's above the worst ones and the slightly less worse ones, your figs, your dragon fruits, you know. It has its own flavor profile, but it's just not an interesting flavor profile, and it's not really unique enough to put it above anything really good, right? Alright. We're getting close. I think we got, how many we got left? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 12 left. Alright. Okay, persimmons. Very sweet fruit. Now this is one of those that I think might be too sweet, right? But I still think it goes above other stuff. Let me think about it. I think above blackberries. I want to say above blackberries, but not above red grapes, because the thing about red grapes is it's kind of a similar idea in terms of my head, at least, where it's overly sweet. Persimmons are very sweet. They kind of taste like honey in a way, but not in a really good way. Because honey, you know, I like honey, right? I don't know who doesn't like honey, but they kind of taste like honey, but it's just too sweet. It's like almost like sweetened honey, and it makes me like, it's still refreshing, right? It still has some water content that makes it not too bad, you know, puts it above other fruits, right? But it's the sweetness is just too much. That's mainly the thing that holds it back. It's just too sweet, and it's, I don't know. That's pretty much it. It's not too terrible, right? Could be sweeter, and then it'd be even lower, right? But that's the main thing with persimmons. All right, let's move on. Pineapples. Okay. Now pineapples are interesting, right? Probably one of the more interesting fruits, even though their taste is kind of weird, right? If you ever had pineapples, it's kind of like sweet sour mix. I would say they're maybe the most balanced between sweet and sour. Like, they're both very sweet and both very sour, or pretty sour, right? Where would I put pineapple? I think they're still a decent pick overall. I used to hate pineapples, funny enough, but over time I got used to them and started to enjoy them. I think they'll go here. Yeah. So at the bottom of heat, I don't know. It's kind of tough to really define pineapples because they're just there. I think what holds it back is maybe it can be too sweet at times, I would say. The sourness doesn't counteract the sweetness sometimes, and it's just a very sweet pineapple, right? It can be overpowering and not that great to eat. but also a lot of time they're pretty refreshing. They're very water content high fruit, at least in terms of taste. There's a lot of water in there, so it's pretty refreshing to eat. So there's that, and that puts them up there, but not as good as the other one because they're just overly sweet. Once again, as with persimmons, it's the curse of fruits, I would say. Overly sweet, but sometimes they can be overly sweet, like mangoes. You know, you got apricots, and those are really good, but they're more refined in their sweetness. They're not just sweet; they have like that flavor to them, you know. And it puts them above the other ones. You got plum. All right, now this is a fruit I associate with a lot, just because like a ripe plum is like here, right? You know, it's really good. If you ever had like a really soft, dark plum, they're very flavorful and rich and juicy, right? Water content super high. But I think the thing that sets plums a little bit back is that they aren't consistent at all. Like a lot of the times they're very sour. You know, I'll put them here. A lot of the times they're very sour and they're not as great. You know, they like a sour plum would probably be like here, right? But the thing about it is the good plums push it up a lot for me. Because I love the texture. It's super soft. It's like an apricot, right? But almost better in terms of texture. And it's kind of like a, how do I describe it? It's kind of like a darker, not darker, what's the way to describe it? It's like, you know how you have white wine and red wine? Plums are kind of like the red wine to apricot to white wine, you know? It's just kind of a richer taste that makes it really good, and of course it's very juicy, and that makes it great as well. And the sweetness is perfect, at least when it's ripe. Sometimes it's very sour, right, as I was saying before, but the ripe ones I would say pushes it up higher. Alright, okay, I got pomegranates. Okay, I think pomegranates are really good as well. They're definitely like a weird fruit, you know? They have these seeds that you eat and spit them back out. It's kind of annoying in terms of the process, but I would say it's still worth it overall. But the consideration I think for me to make is if it's heat or fire. Straight fire. Let me think about it. I don't think pomegranates are necessarily straight fire, right? But I think they are at the top of heat because they are just it's kind of cathartic to eat pomegranates. You know, you just chew on them, spit them back out, keep doing it. If you put a full spoonful of pomegranates, like that shit is crazy. It's like they all pop in your mouth, you know. It's basically almost like drinking juice in a way. Like it's almost like a seeded juice for fruits, and it's kind of sour, right? Sour and sweet at the same time. I think it does this a lot better than pineapples in that way. That has that sour sweet nature to it. And it's just really solid. I don't know. It's interesting to eat them as well. It makes it not as annoying to, you know, spit them back out, spit them in a bowl, throw it away, right? It makes it not as annoying because it's kind of an interesting experience. One of the most unique fruits for sure. I think that pushes it up as well, for me at least. All right, moving on. We got raspberries. I think raspberries are kind of a boring fruit, all things considered, right? A lot of the times they can be not that sweet, right? And kind of mushy and not that great. A lot of the time, it's very common for raspberries to have that. But sometimes they're very sweet, and they can be a good quick snack to have. You know, kind of like with blueberries. That's how berries go. They're smaller and they're easier to eat. But in terms of where I would rank raspberries, let me think about it real quick. I would say, I don't know if I'll put these above. I think they're right below blackberries. Yeah. Okay, so they're right below blackberries for me. Mainly because their flavor profile isn't that great in terms of what the best raspberry is compared to like the best blackberry. Like the best blackberry is super flavorful, has like that burst of flavor, while the best raspberries are just sweet and pretty decent, but not that great overall, right? I think actually I'll put red apples over these. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they're not that great. They're not consistent at all, and a lot of time it's not worth it just to eat a raspberry. Or not that they're not worth it, they're just there, kind of flavorless. in a way. But alright, I think I might reconsider red apples. No, they're okay. It's just because of Graham's. If you ever had Graham's, and they're so good. Those apples are amazing. They're super water packed and flavorful, but I think they're okay here. It's like the mix of good and bad puts it right in the middle of decent choice. Okay. Strawberries. Okay, strawberries. The last berry on the list, at least that I know of. Is there any other berries that I haven't tried? Let me think about it. Mulberries, gooseberries. Alright. Yeah. But strawberries, I think, might take it. Well, I don't think they're better than blueberries per se. These are another fruit that isn't as consistent as others, you know? Let's see. Let me like here. Okay, I'll put it there. Now strawberries, the difference between strawberries and raspberries primarily is that their inconsistent form is better than raspberries. So raspberries don't really have a big taste, but strawberries, like sour or more sour strawberries, are still decent. The seeds, I think, are a big part of that. Makes it interesting to eat. You have those little seeds that pop in your mouth a little bit. And if you ever have a super ripe strawberry, those are crazy. Like I've had very sweet strawberries. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but slightly less sweet, you know? Kind of like the strawberries you see in supermarkets, like the really red ones. They're very water packed. Very water packed. They're very flavorful, right? They have a big range. And I think that makes it one of the better fruits, right? Its inconsistency holds it back, and I think the overly sweet strawberries that I know exist, I've tried those. I think they're way too sweet, but the regular ones that I've had that are very ripe are super good and super watery and really, you know, refreshing to eat. I think they're one of the most refreshing fruits, once again, to eat, as opposed to other ones. You can just quickly pop a few strawberries in and you're good, right? They're interesting in the way that they're kind of like the biggest berry, you know? So it's kind of like the quick snack of the berry, but slightly more, you know, fulfilling. And that makes it pretty interesting, and I would say it puts it above a good amount of other fruits. Alright, let's move on. We got tangerines. Oh. You know, I know I put oranges like here, right? Tangerines are so much better than oranges. Oh my god, so much better. I think tangerines might go into straight fire. Let me think about it. Let me think. Tangerine, yeah. Oh yeah. Let me see. Are they above grapefruits? The big question. I would say they are. No. Okay, I'll put them in the middle. Alright, we got tangerines in fire. Now let me explain this to you. Tangerines are super quick, super flavorful, lots of water content. It's like what an orange wishes it could be, you know. A tangerine is just the mini orange, but it's like the perfect child of an orange. I don't even know. I don't know how it's so much better, but it's not sour, right? I mean, it is sour, but it's subtly sour, which makes it great. It's like a little background of sourness. And it's very sweet, very watery, right? Super quick. Once again, as I mentioned earlier, you can just pop a couple tangerines in, like those slices, right? And you're good. You're good, right? You have the tangerines that are, you know, you have the kind of, I don't know how to describe it, like the silk outside makes it very interesting too. It's kind of like a double layered fruit in a way. It's pretty unusual for fruits because you don't really have fruits with double layers, right? I'm looking over all of these. I don't see any of them with double layers, right? But you see how the tangerines have that white exterior? That is super, I think that makes it more interesting, and alongside the sweetness, the watery, or the water content, it makes it really good and pushes it above a lot of other fruits. Tangerines are great. Don't sleep. We got watermelons. Alright, watermelon, like, come on. Watermelon is always going to be straight fire. If someone tells you watermelon isn't fire, they're stupid. Like, I don't know how else to tell you this. Now, where should I put it in straight fire is a big question. I think it goes above here, above that. Would it go above plums? I think so. Also, I feel like I haven't had a really good plum in a while, so it's kind of butchering my image of them, but let me see. Actually, no. Okay, I have an argument for this too. I think they'd be top 5. I think it's a good idea to put them top 5. Okay, yeah. Alright, we got watermelons, top 5 fruits. from my experience. Now, watermelons, the very best watermelons, obviously, it's in the name. They have a lot of water in them, super refreshing to eat. It's kind of like a meal as well, as like a banana. It's a very calorie-packed fruit. You can get a lot of watermelons and be super full afterwards. But the thing that holds it back, it doesn't make it, like top 3 or like top 2 or whatever, right? Is that some watermelons aren't that great. They can be inconsistent. Obviously, there's ways to check. You can knock on them, like just to see if they're hollow inside, which means they're going to be sweeter. There's also, I think, like yellow watermelons, which have a different taste, but I'm not really talking about those. This is mainly just the red watermelons. But yeah, they're just very solid, very sweet, but sweet and watery to the point that it makes it a very good 1-2 combo where you can just keep eating it and it feels like you're drinking water, but sugary, right? But it's not too sweet. I would say watermelons, even like the ripest watermelons, aren't too sweet. It's interesting that way. And they're also crisp. I think the texture is something people don't talk about enough. The texture is very crunchy, right? Which makes it enjoyable to eat, at least for like us. You can just like imagine crunching down on a watermelon and you're like, oh, this could be great. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums up why they would be top 5. I think that's good. All right, we're moving on. We got honeydew, the older brother of cantaloupe, and as older brothers go, they are more qualified, I think honeydew is better than cantaloupe. Now, where would I rank it per se? Let me see. I think pineapples might be too high. Hold up. Pineapples, I don't think pineapples should be in heat. Let me put these here. Pineapple, they can be so sweet. It's crazy. I don't know what I was thinking putting it in there. All right, now honeydew. Let me think. Honeydew, I think honeydew could go. Actually, I want to say I would put honeydew higher than this. Strawberries, cherries. I don't know, maybe like here. Yeah. Okay, and also another thing I want to change real quick. Yeah, I'll put kiwis higher. I'll put kiwis like here. Yeah, because the ripe kiwis is just so soft, so sweet. I think it makes up for the inconsistency and the sour ones, right? And the seeds are cool too. Okay, yeah. Kiwis should be higher. I think that's a good choice. Actually, I think it should be like this. Okay. So honeydews, now this is like the subtle fruit. I think it's a very specific taste. I don't think everyone likes this. They might say it doesn't taste like much. It might be like a raspberry or something like that, right? But in my opinion, they're really good. Super packed with water. Once again, really refreshing to eat. And I think these are one of the fruits that are like the best to have after a long meal. You just have a couple honeydew slices and you're good. It's like the watermelon, but not as crazy, right? And it's the cantaloupe that's more subtle and more refined that makes it better. So it's kind of like the middle ground of those two. And they're all, sliced fruits in that way. That's how you usually eat them. But yeah, I think cantaloupes are very solid. I think this might be like my most contested take on this list, but I think honeydews are just one of the greater ones. And up there, just watery, subtly sweet, not too overpowering. It just makes it one of the better choices and puts it in heat. Yeah, okay. Kumquat, wow, hold up. Is that another trash fruit I see? Is that worse than cranberries? Yep. I don't know. I don't know anyone who's ever. Okay, I don't mean people don't really talk about kumquats, but I've tried kumquats and oh my god, taste is horrendous. I don't know what the fruit people were thinking when they made kumquats. The fruit company. That's obviously where all these fruits came from. But yeah, the kumquats they're like a citrus or something. I don't even know what they are. They're just like a weird fruit. The taste is even weirder than the look and the name. It just it doesn't taste like much. It tastes like skin almost. It's very like textury and very, very not sweet. It's not sweet at all. It doesn't really provide anything. It's not sour either. It's just like there. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like a weird textury taste that doesn't taste like much. And I would say it's easily the worst fruit I've ever tried by far. Like everything that, I don't know if you can see, but everything in decent choice and above, like all those are really good picks, right? I would love to eat any of them. Maybe not oranges. Oranges are kind of trash, but kumquats are, I don't know. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy for them to eat a kumquat. It's just bad. It's textury and wrinkly and not tasty at all. Like it doesn't have a taste. I swear. You can have me. Kumquats do not have a taste. All right, moving on. Got raisins. It's interesting that raisins are here. It's kind of like I guess dates are here as well, so that makes sense. Okay, raisins are better than dates, obviously. I don't know why you wouldn't think that, but in terms of their taste, I don't even know. It's kind of weird to rank raisins in terms of fruits. Where do I put raisins? I mean, they're decent. They're definitely decent. I would say like here. Yeah. I'll put dragon fruits a little higher. Honestly, yeah, I'll put them here. It's super vague what dragon fruits taste like in my head. I could be doing it a dishonor right now. Let me know if you've had dragon fruit. Let me know in the comments if you think dragon fruits are good. I don't know. It's very vague what they taste like. Okay, but yeah, raisins. Like focusing on the fruit at hand. Yeah, raisins. The dried grapes, right? Are raisins dried grapes? Is that prunes? I don't know. The dried something. They're pretty sweet, but they're not really like a fruit. They're like dates, right? Raisins are this dried, overly sweet fruit, but it's less crazy than dates, right? Dates are super sweet, super packed like a candy, right? Like honey. I don't know if I said this before, but yeah. But raisins are more like a quick snack you could eat. They're not as sweet, so it's not overpowering. You just quickly eat them. I'm pretty sure they're decently healthy as well. Not a factor, but that's something to consider. And their texture, I think their texture is kind of weird. They're easy to eat, right? They're like a snack fruit, I guess. But their texture is super weird, really wrinkly, like dates. You know, dried fruits in general are gonna be like that. But they're okay. They're small, so their flavor isn't as big of a factor, right? It's just like a little quick thing you can eat, kind of like gum in a way. Which I think it's a good idea to put them above raspberries, because raspberries are like they don't have much of a taste either. But that's just because the flavor isn't there. Well, raisins are small, and at least have some kind of sweetness to them that makes them enjoyable. All right, we got the last fruit. It's crazy. I actually finished the list. Well, about to finish the list. All right, we got sour cherries. Let's focus up. Sour cherries they're okay. They're okay. They're not that great. Where would I put them though? Let me think about this. Now, once again, I don't know if I've eaten this fruit like to the full capacity of maybe someone who's eaten like really good sour cherries, right? I've only had a couple of them. But in terms of where I'd rank them, probably like here, right? Sour cherries are okay. They're like cherries, but not cherries. They're less sweet. They're kind of watery, but they're watery in a way that it doesn't really taste like water. They're just kind of floaty and bubbly, and you just eat them. You don't really taste much. That's kind of a flavorless fruit, which, you know, in my opinion, is a pretty good reason to rank them lower. But yeah, sour cherries they're okay. They're just kind of like a lesser cherry, and they don't really add that much sourness. I would say the sourness isn't that apparent, at least from what I've had. Now, don't quote me. Sour cherries might be alright. They might be really sour and interesting, but I haven't had like super sour cherries at all. But yeah, that's the list. We got straight fire, heat, decent choice, probably not worth it, and trash, don't eat. These are my choices. Now, fruits in general, I think fruits are pretty good. That's why you have such a big disparity between the decent choice and the probably not worth it and the trash, right? But in general, I think fruits are really solid. So you have this list looking like this. I'm pretty partial to them. Maybe people don't like the sweetness. I could see that, and they'll put these fruits lower than other fruits, or than other foods in general. I think fruits are pretty good. But yeah, this has been the first tier list video. 8 subscribers. Thank you for the 8 subscribers who subscribed a long time ago. But I will be catching up with this every now and then. I'm working on my next project, and hopefully I'll be releasing that soon on this channel, and we'll have more consistent uploads, but we'll see. Life is a crazy thing. You never know what you're going to be doing and when you're going to have time for stuff and when you're going to have interest for stuff. But yeah, I really like ranking things, so hopefully I'll get to do this again soon. But this has been my fruits tier list. I think all the choices here are good. Maybe not. Tell me in the comments what you think. What are your favorite fruits? What are your least favorite fruits? Or have you ever had a fruit? I don't know. Maybe you had never had a fruit before in your life. It's possible. Alright, this has been 8. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment, subscribe if you'd like. I will be posting tier lists like this occasionally for the milestones of the channel. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.